All right, what the hell is going on in here? I'm gonna go ahead and go through a rundown, very simple, of what's happened to you, what's going on in this place, what you're dealing with. What you're dealing with is fallen angels. The angels are mostly cherubs. Well, they're all cherubs, and there's 7 of them. And that one is the one that is the smartest one, right there. As you can see, they're all hanging out. They can shapeshift into anything they want. There's essentially 7 of them, right? That's why this story right here is one of the most popular Disney stories, the 7 Dwarfs. Basically, there's a being that is walking the earth named Snow White that they take a liking to. And this being is very beautiful and nice or whatever. And the creator speaks to the being that shows a mask of himself, which is the mirror on the parabolic mirror, which would be essentially, as we understand it, to be like the firmament. And the creator looks up at the firmament and says, Mr. Cheeks, who is the most fairest? Am I the most beautiful still? And he goes, no, you're not. And there's somebody out there that's more beautiful than you. And apparently it's supposed to make her jealous, which is totally nonsense, because the supreme being knows everything that she creates. Every doodle, every being couldn't possibly be jealous of her own creations. It would be absurd and asinine. And that's the cheap shots that are happening in here with these movies. They're all blasphemous, like Weird Science. They're blasphemous, saying that the 2 suns, the light sun and the black sun, created the woman. Then you got Fallen. Why is there a space between lions and Spiskowskis? Because they don't like her, because she sits underneath next to the lion. But if you look at the Columbia Pictures logo, it shows her holding the sun up higher than herself. And you look at the evil queen on 7 Dwarfs, she's got the crown on with the sun sitting higher than herself. And these are nothing but sun idols. So, I mean, as you can see, they want you to idolize the sun. That would be like, the one that's the leader, which would be this guy. Oh, let's bring it back. Oh. So let's get to what happened in here. And this is going to be really interesting. So, the leader is obviously this guy here. He's the one that's like got everybody turning against their maker, and the rest of them are all kind of like whatever. But the leader, he's got the black hair. He's got a black hat on in this one. So they're just showing you he's got black hair, basically. I've seen him before. That's why I know it. I can differentiate between. And they're all boys. I thought I saw a girl one once, but I guess I'm mistaken. He had hair that was all poofy, kind of like Bram Stoker's Dracula. The old man with the red cloak on had the big hair that was going back, and it looked like a female when I seen it, because it was real pretty in the face, but they're all pretty. And you see there, they're taming fowls and beasts, playing around with these different beasts. And you can see there, they're all boys. They all have penises. That must be the leader right there with his arms crossed. So they're essentially, they've been here, and they are the ones that were responsible for cutting down the trees. Now listen to this. Jehovah's arrows are sharp, and all of his bows are bent. So his weapons against you are bent. The hooves of the horses are counted as rock. So whenever you see his handiwork, it's basically what has become rock. They rocked you, and then they rolled you and said you was on a spinning ball that was a rock, 3rd rock from the sun, which is nothing but lies, all right? And then you're the 3rd rock. Really? Like 3s? Like it's just nothing but lies in here. The truth, doctrine are treated as arrows. The spiritual truth are bows, and the doctrines are horses. That's why the Masons wear bows around their neck. Usually you see them wear bow ties. And it's all acts of the devil himself, the one that created The graven language is to describe who your maker was, like God, Jehovah, Allah. All those is all sun idols. Now see this? The bows are bent, remember? This is a weapon of homosexual gay magic to exclude the woman. The male's box opens, you stick the male in, and then the phallus goes up, but the phallus is bent. All right, the graduate hat has a bent arrow on it, or bent, I guess this would be like the extent of your knowledge. It's really short and it's bent. You look again, they have a long one, because even though they have knowledge and they're the Masons are all under mind control, they have a lot more knowledge than we do, but they're still bent and confused. They're still under mind control. And you see here, it's obvious is that the spear would be on top, which would be like the spear of destiny, and then the black sun is on the bottom here. And then you got the pentagram encompassing both, like it's one saying we have all the lights or whatever, and we're in control of the lights or whatever that's supposed to mean. But you can clearly see if you pierce the symbols, you pierce everything that you're looking at, you can basically understand and overstand what these symbols mean without reading the definitions of. You're going to get a bunch of shills. No, that's not what it means. Okay, well then you're a shill because you know something more. Fucker. See, the bow ties, arrows. So they got this shit around your neck like a noose. So typically you see the tie has an arrow on its end, right? And it's kind of like a noose around your neck, but it's got an arrow on the end. It's bent. So they used machines, flying machines, come to blow down these silicon trees. They chopped them down. The Onceler showed up in here, which was the one. Came in here blowing up all these giant silicon trees and turned them into rock. As you can see, they've all been burnt up and turned into rock after they destroyed the people that lived here when they came down in here. This is a good look of a silicon tree. They tell you it's petrified, but this is one of the trees kind of maybe still in its more natural state and not turned into rock, in which it has all those colors inside. This is the blue divine feminine in the ninth wonder, being chased. She's got the big crown, Bouffante crown on, being chased by the dog. All right, that's your God, that's Jehovah, that's all the graven names that describe who your maker is. And these are all the silicon trees in the background. He can't catch up with her, so he creates a corporation. All right, that's what the Lorax is about. They create a corporation to suit thy needs. They cut down all thy funny trees. All right, so they're chasing the divine feminine in here. When I found out that God was a woman, I saw a different version. But then when I said it out of my mouth, I heard this voice that sounded like one of the cherubs, and I could tell it was Lucifer. And he says, well, do you want to fuck her? And I was just like, wow, I'm just talking to the devil just now. But at the same time, I was like, is that appropriate? Am I supposed to? And when I saw, when I said that, a blue version shows up sitting on my bed at the time I was camping, and she showed up on my air mattress, and she was extremely insatiable, and she had big legs and big breasts, and she was bald, but she was a blue avatar woman, and she was bald headed. She didn't have this on top of her head, but she was a blue woman, and she was extremely gorgeous, and I couldn't believe how gorgeous she was, and I was just like, damn. And I seen the other version with the flowers in her hair, with the giant crown that shape-shifted into flowers around her head, and then her sleeves were long, hanging like a gown. And then they went to short sleeve when she came and hugged me into her breast and went through my back, out of my back. And that's what I saw when I first met her. I've seen her a lot of times since then, but as you can see, she's with the sun. See that? They got her in the sun, and he's chasing her down with the corporation, and all the silicon tree stumps are in the background. So there's no way to fuck it up. And she's running on a snakeback road. All the silica was turned into roads. See that? Silicon tree stumps. And he just wants to get rid of her. That's it. He wants to eat her, kill her, or whatever he can do to get rid of her. And this is the dog. This is your God. This is who created the word God. Graven images, graven languages. If you go in a church, you worshiping all kind of stuff backwards in dog Latin that you have no clue what you're saying. They say silence is golden because this being doesn't say anything. All you hear is beep, beep, and that's it. So I'm telling you this whole story, and I overstand this whole shit because all I do is stare into the sun. See there? More silicon trees in the back. So after he's done with his handiwork, he's like, now to get rid of that divine feminine. See what I'm saying? and he can't fuck with her. He can't never he can't fuck with her. She just keeps fucking him up. If you watch the cartoons, it's kind of laughable, but at the same time, they want you to feel sorry for the coyote. Like, damn, man, when is he ever gonna catch that roadrunner? So that's kind of like what happens to you mentally. You start feeling sorry for him. So these are all the funny trees. These are all the silicon trees. When they burnt it up, it stopped it from lighting up like this. They burnt up everything. They killed everybody that was here. And essentially you were blue. And your blood in the deepest regions of your body is blue. And it's like, hear Eminem say, I cut you so fast, the blood that comes out was still blue and all this, you know. These motherfuckers know what's going on in here. So it was beautiful. It was luminescent. We were all crystal beings. These were the trees. These were the funny trees that you see on the Lorax with the big poofy tops on them that look weird and shit. Big floofy and purple and pinky. So let me just go ahead and show you some more. But this is where we were at, and everything was alive. And that's why, two reasons why there's doodles everywhere is because the shoulder-to-shoulder consciousness was all around you, and everything was conscious, and everything was one. And now it's changed into a different set of hosts, like material objects, inanimate objects, trees that are carbon-based life forms, food, everything else. So essentially, you have a tailbone, and that's why you have a tailbone. It's because you had a tail. And the funny trees, there they are again with the floofy pink and that. And the sun is like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't cut it down. He's standing on the stump like, man, what the fuck? And see here, look at all these sun idols, man. It's crazy. But I can see the sun. I can see Mr. Cheeks. And I was having a debate on whether I should eat a vegan meal, go out with the offspring and go eat some vegan food, and maybe even go see a movie and just do something like a normal. You know, I mean, my life's not really normal anymore, but that's okay because I have purpose in my life now. Now, these are the funny trees, the ones that showed up, and the Lorax was already here. So if you claiming that you're the light and you're the G because you're the light, it's nonsense. You're just borrowing it. You're a light bearer. Doesn't mean that you own anything. All right? So people need to keep that in mind. If you want to bear the light, all you got to do is stare into the sun. That's where I'm at. That's why I can see all this shit. That's why I can piece it together, and it's literally nothing. So he's holding it, and you know he's pretending to be a good guy, but in the end he stabs the Lorax in the back and creates a corporation. Fucks the Lorax over, and Lorax is pissed about it. And essentially this is what it looked like. They came in here and blew up everything and just hurt everybody and blew up all the silicon trees. And then after that, they came in here with large 4-story spinning excavator blades, which you can see already in my videos. I already have that. What chopped up the silicon trees, what shaped the earth. They use that. That's what shaped the Grand Canyon. That's why there's lines all the way through it, because there had nothing but faces in it. And you cut all the lines through it, it hides the faces, but then they tell you erosion created the lines. You see all the fallen angels, they all with the slashes in their eyes, they all represent the little man that was behind it all. I couldn't find a picture of him, but you get it. That's the guy that was on, what's that fucking movie about the teddy bear that came to life with Mark Wahlberg? And then the dude tried to kidnap him, and he was like all nasty and weird. Well, that's the guy that's playing the little man. That's basically the devil himself. And now this is the avatar, people. Just to show you, see the little bumps? That's what this shit is. It's DNA activation. See, I got these little dark spots. They look like moles, but I got them popping up all over my whole body. And I got them like lining up in lines and stuff along my hand, and they're going up and down my arm, up the sides of my back and shit. Just to show you, this is Nimrod. If he existed in history, if history is not just complete lies, then this would be an example of DNA activation on his face. So just to show you, it's not just moles, because people are going to say, oh, there's just moles on your body. No, people don't know me to say that. I know myself. I got black moles, and I only have a few of them. And my moles are only black. But those bumps are different. They're considered to be DNA activation. And it's kind of funny. It's like, do you know the time? You know, it's just like, it's on everything. It's like everything is just very, so get into the blue people. All right, then this guy drank a bunch of Clydo Silver. He cleaned himself up. You see, this is the kind of stuff that I seen on the Divine Feminine when I seen her sitting on my bed. I wish I took advantage of that opportunity. But maybe it was just an illusion. Maybe he's trying to deceive me. Maybe it would have turned into a monster if I ran close to it. But anyways, the blue being, and also if you do, apparently they say, like in Cool World, if you make it with the divine feminine, you become a doodle yourself, which would have been a lot easier than just staring in the sun for weeks and weeks at a time. I mean, it could have happened right when I met her. Could have turned into a super being right then. But, you know, you don't know until you know. Hindsight's 2020, you know. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Get it? They look behind in 2020. Huh? It's on everything. They telling you 2020 is the year, bro, of the perfect vision of the Masons. They're going to tear this motherfucker down, bro. These Jesuits are going to fuck this place up, man. That's why they got Jesuits in places, because they're the money people. They're the closers of the corporation. And it's closing time. It's time for you to go to the places that you would be from. You know what I'm saying? It's closing time. You can go somewhere else, but you can't stay here. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. You feel me? It's closing time, bro. 2020, bro. I'm telling you, hindsight is 2020. You feel me? Man, y'all gotta listen to me, bro. I know this whole shit, bro. I know this whole motherfucker. All from staring into the sun, bro. I got so much knowledge, it's fucking insane. I'm super, super luminous. I'm not quasi-luminous. That's a fake luminous. That means it's a shield. All right, so look at all those little dots. That's the bumps right there. And then once they come illuminated, you're like your whole being. You're a crystal being. All right, so the blue man. Now, about the story of the blue man, the reason why this dude is dead, he dies. They didn't even fucking have to kill him. They just had to wait for him to drop dead. He had a heart attack and died after drinking a lot of Colloidal Silver, which killed all disease, didn't allow him to be sick or anything. Then he just suddenly dies of a heart attack, and everyone's like, what the fuck? How did he die? You know, because there's no silicon dioxide. The trees are gone, and when you turn into your real normal self, you're gonna just fucking die, because, and that's why there's no more unicorns to be found. There'll never be a unicorn in the sense of the word. There will be a Beautiful Joe, or a Mr. Incredible, or a Jack Deebs turned into a doodle before there will be a real regular unicorn that exists here, the super beings. Like, you know, Dr. Manhattan, he was a blue being that reaches his super being self. And that's not something that can happen in here, you know, because you'll die because no silicon trees. But as you can see, he's just a regular guy, Nimrod. He has DNA activation, so all of his bumps came out. And now he's like the powerful Nimrod. Like, he's got all the powers. And it comes through the DNA activation. You can see on his nose, running through his face, down the sides of his neck and shit. He's got all these lines. And that's what it is. So, follow me for the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Spitting from a tooth. For the whole youth and the elder. Don't be bewildered. Because money's not even gold and silver. You know, it's just all just lies, man. These kings, they made it. They call it the Philosopher's Stone, and they hid the process with Harry Potter and all this stuff. Told you it was a bunch of nonsense. But if you become the creator of the Philosopher's Stone, everybody that gets the gold becomes a philosopher. You basically take a bunch of earth elements and you take some blood roots and you put them in a containment, and you use the sun and the moon to bring the fog out onto the glass, which will be the soul of the dirt. And it takes a long process. Or you can take torches and speed it up, which is guys on the internet that take torches and shape and form gold. And it's kind of a process, but you can make gold out of dirt and elements. Like, you can make gold yourself. It's not impossible. So, yep. So the Wenzel showed up. The lower axe was already here. So the G is not the light. The G is just borrowing the light. They showed up here and they swung their mighty axes and they fucking destroyed all the trees. And they got rid of all the beings, and that's why black and white is legal fiction. That's why you can't be black or white. That's why Africa is a fiction. That's why the United States is a fiction. United Nations are nothing but a bunch of fictions, and all the nations are fictions. And they're fictional corporations. And that's what the Onceler did. He created a corporation. He said, how bad can I be, huh? And the media is always lying. How bad can I be? Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, that's it. That's the story of what happened to you. You used to be blue, and that is the truth. And that's what I got to say to the youth. Is that if you want to know the whole thing, the whole story, go to the light yourself or follow me, because I'm not going to tell you any lies in here. I'm not going to lie to you at all. It's not in my best interest. I work with the woman. She knows what I'm capable of. She knows what I'm made of. She knows what I'm going to speak on every day. She sees my whole life in the blink of her eye. She knows what I'm about. So when I come out with all this stuff, you can see why she chose me, man. Even though I'm quite a bit of a brute sometimes, maybe that's all part of who I'm supposed to be, because in the face of all these liars that sit around with a smile telling you to worship love, which is evil backwards, hallowed be its name, got you eating cannibalizing your whole life, got you eating questionable ground beef and stuff like that, which is another reason why I'm vegan. And you should just really be eating the sun mostly. And that's what I do mostly. Most of the time I eat as much sun as I eat, regular foods, because the sun is replaced that, and eventually it's going to replace it entirely. And you'll become a sparkly crystal being, which they call a unicorn. And every sense of what you could be besides the blue skin, which is not something that can be existent, because there's no what you call oxygen. It was a different life force energy, and it was a silica-based energy. And that's it. That's what's going on in here. That's the whole truth. Those are the funny trees again. And these are tree stumps. And that is your church idol here. The dog, the God, the Jehovah, the Allah, all the names that represent the light of the world, which they want you to worship the son of your creator, which is very obvious. They want you to worship the son of your maker. And you're not supposed to have masters before your maker, which they also told you. So if you have masters before your maker, you're fucking up. You're breaking your own commandments and all this. And that's true. I mean, if you believe, but that's a patsy in front of a patsy, because it keeps you in the church. It doesn't allow you to leave the church, because you think, oh, well, I won't worship a master before my maker. Well, you're still going to worship the God, right? See, they just got you a patsy in front of a patsy in front of a patsy. And that is the work of Rumpelstiltskin, which is the anointed cherub, which all of his arrows are bent and confused to bend and confuse you. And the cube of Satan unfolded is the cross, and that is their weapon. Everything they have is a weapon against you. And that's what's going on in here. You're just totally confused. Most of you are so confused, you don't know what the fuck's going on. You need to go to the motherfucking light. And you don't go for 30 minutes a day. You don't fucking do none of that stupid ass stuff they're telling you on YouTube. You go for hours. You switch out your regimen. If you eat for 3 hours a day, you eat 3-course meals. Like, listen to all this Satanism. If you eat 3 or 4 hours a day, an hour each time, you got a sun gaze for at least 4 hours. You understand? To trumpet. Get it? Trumpet. Oh my goodness. It's on everything. Like, it's coming out of my vocab, because it's just, man.